Two of the biggest names in bass fishing have direct ties to this Arkansas River. One of them literally learned to fish on this system, and the other basically calls it his home water. Everybody's going to probably roster both of these anglers, and that's potentially the problem. Let's take a deeper dive about this system here. So we're fishing the Arkansas River out of Muskogee, Oklahoma. So this is a familiar place out of the Three Forks Harbor out of Muskogee, Oklahoma. The tournament is the April 16th through the 19th. We're looking at mid to late April river conditions. So we've got spring current, potential stain, muddy, clean water going up and down if we get some rain. All that has the potential to play. Fort Gibson Reservoir dumps into this. You've got some other feeder rivers and things like that throughout this system. We can see with the water clarity map where you can start to see where there is some mud and some clear water in the system using Omnia fishing here. A lot of the anglers are going to end up going down to Kerr Reservoir here. This is where we think a lot of the action is going to go down. Half to maybe 2/3 of the field ends up fishing Kerr Reservoir. Overall, we expect weights to be up from the Tom Bigby. Kerr's been kicking out 20-pound bags, so I think we're going to see a bigger gap between the anglers that don't make the cut and the anglers making the top 10 than we did at the Tom Bigby. What's handy about the Omnia fishing website and app when you're breaking down rivers like this? One thing for sure is I like the water level station. You can use this to look at real 24-hour history, what's going on. So it does look like, looking at this, we're on a slight rise, which could be really good as long as it doesn't bring in too much mud. And you can look at the 7-day history here. You can also look at some of these stations that are feeding into the river to give you an idea where the current is coming from. Another thing I really like to do, especially on these big systems like this, is to look at boat landings, where you can potentially get in, launch in backwaters or different points in the river instead of just navigating. It can save you a lot of time and gas and resources when breaking down a big river system like this. Water temps looking like we're going to be, right in the heart of maybe a few pre-spawn fish, but a lot of spawn, a little bit of post-spawn already based on these water temps and the reports that we're getting. You can look at some of the fishing reports, seeing creature baits, frogs, things like that. You'd expect basic river fishing stuff, power fishing for this fishery. We are going to have front-facing sonar in this event, and that always seems to have a little bit of a wrinkle when it happens in these large level tournaments. High-profile name anglers versus anglers that are actually river specialists. The two anglers we're talking about, Jason Christie, Greg Hackney, on the short list of favorites a lot of people thinking about for their fantasy fishing team. Why are they strong, right? Jason Christie coming off his recent win at Tom Bigby, his 9th Bassmaster victory just 2 weeks ago, carrying some momentum. He's a Park Hill, Oklahoma native, literally his home state river, even though it's named the Arkansas River and it flows into Arkansas, the takeoff is in Oklahoma. He even said on record, doesn't think he's ever been so excited about an event, and has prior history, a lot of tournaments, BFLs, local team tournaments, a lot of tournament history on the Three Forks Muskogee waterway. Hackney grew up in Star City, Arkansas, learned to fish on the Arkansas River, even though he lives in Louisiana now. He led the day one of the 2020 Central Bassmaster Open with 18 pounds. One of the most consistent river anglers on tour. He knows wood, knows current, shallow cover. It's his comfort zone. But on the flip side, he's had a horrific start to his 2026 season. Maybe he's due, maybe he's not, maybe he's in a slump. And then Christie, you think back, what a huge favorite he was on 10 Killer, and that didn't work out well. These are things to think about. These are things that can crash your potential fantasy fishing roster. So just because it's a home favorite and a matchup doesn't mean it's always an easy go. Most of the field knows where a lot of the key areas are. Will pressure affect a person like Christie? He missed the cut at 10 Killer in 2025, had some bad events coming into the Tom Bigby. He's been a little streaky, and rivers can flip, right? Rainfall, locking dams, water clarity changes. What's going on in practice, what goes on in day one, day two doesn't always hold up during the whole tournament. And these are all the traps of the fantasy fishing buckets, because really in the end, you need to win each bucket. The Arkansas really doesn't care about the resume of the anglers you put in your team. It doesn't care who won last week. That's what makes it so dangerous for picking all chalk players in fantasy fishing. Now, before we get into the picks of fantasy fishing during the lake, pick 'em and tiebreaker weight, let's see who was the best in the Beat HellaBass at the Tom Bigby. CW, he was the winner. Already got him his Omnia Pro subscription. Congratulations. He's going to enjoy the benefits of no minimum free shipping, 10% back on points, all the advantages of the upgraded maps and systems like that. So he's set, and he's already tapping into that potential. And then Drain the Lake, Mr. Winstead, Nice job. Congratulations on winning that event. Let's talk about who is in the driver's seat approaching the halfway mark here of the season. Darius King, Bullfish himself, having a great season. Mr. Johnson Westmoreland, hot on his trail. Both of them doing great overall in all of Fantasy Fishing at the top of the standings so far after 4 events, hoping to hold on to the Arkansas River. They are in position that, at the end of the year, they can win the $100 Omnia gift card. And if they're an Omnia Pro member at that time, it'll double to a $200 prize at the end of the season, kind of a contingency program. Make sure you keep that if you're doing well in fantasy fishing. And then over in Drain the Lake, our Proul, Jay Kangas, they're also in that same position on Drain the Lake. We'll have similar prizes. Quick reminder of what Omnia Pro is. It takes your already free Omnia app, Omnia website experience, and elevates it with perks, early notifications, Navionics HD depth charts in the palm of your hand on your phone, cashback rewards on every order, and plus you get a lot of other benefits on top of that. Totally worth the $60 per year, and it's worth checking out. If you don't have Omnia Pro already, you don't think you're going to win it in fantasy fishing, just use code HellaBass10 to save yourself $10 on the subscription, which is also a 10% off code at Omnia Fishing, which you can tap into their great selection of bass fishing tackle and gear, as well as their fast shipping and great customer experience. I'll be the first to admit that I had a pretty bad Tom Bigby tournament. Now, I think the advice I gave in the video, there was some good anglers that I picked. The ones I ended up landing on, locking in, had a rough event, but I gave you some of the picks, and if you put together the right puzzle, you probably had a great event. So let's figure out who we are going to pick here at the Arkansas River. We like to start out in bucket E, as always. Let's flip it to owner percentage here and look at who we got. No surprise, Arkansas owns Bo Browning, Stephen Browning's son. Should be strong here. He should know this river. Loves a chatterbait. Obviously, he's in bucket E, so he's not having the greatest season. Bill Lowen, a river guy. John Cox has got the boat for this. It's the right time of year, but he's just having a bad year. I don't know what's going on. Greg Hackney, who we talked about earlier, is in this bucket. He's a really strong pick. Potential here. I think those are all anglers you can really look at. Austin Cranford, if you're looking for a sneaky pick, he's from Oro, Oklahoma. He's definitely got his time on this fishery. He could be really good here. Kenta Kimura, sneaky enough. He lives in Oklahoma when he's in the United States, and he's definitely fished a lot of these Oklahoma fisheries. But I'm going to go with Blake Capps, our 2024 Bass Nation national champion. Muskogee, Oklahoma is his home. He did well in the qualifier that Chris Johnson won that year to make the national championship on Grand Lake. So he should be a really strong pick. Now, there's definitely other picks, but I'm going Blake Capps, and he needs this. He's into his second season, his sophomore season. He didn't have a great rookie campaign. If he's going to stay on the Elite Series, he really needs to have a strong tournament here at home. So we'll see if he can hold up to the pressure, but I think Blake Capps has got a Sunday appearance in his future at the Arkansas River. Bucket D, here's what I'm talking about. You got high-profile anglers like Brandon Polinick, and he very well may have a good tournament here. But I don't know if this necessarily sets up to his strong suits and overall strengths. I think we can look, and this to me is one of the tougher buckets to really pick a favorite, in my opinion. I mean, Stephen Kennedy is one on Dardanelle, which is down the river from this. No, super strong river anglers. Caleb Summerall likes to fish shallow, likes to power fish, got an express aluminum boat, should be a good fit for him. He probably wants redemption after a not so great Tom Bigby. Caleb Kufal cut his teeth on the Mississippi River. Could be good here. We've seen him excel on rivers in the past. I mean, Joey Sventos is from Arkansas. I don't know that he spends a lot of time on the Arkansas River, but overall, I am going to go JT Tompkins. He won on the Chesapeake a few years back on the Bassmaster Open. He's an angler that puts in a ton of time pre-practicing, doing his research, getting his time on the water. That usually pays dividends in this type of event. Plus, it is a front-facing sonar event, and that is a strength of his. I think that makes him a solid pick for bucket D. Moving on to bucket C here. This is where Jason Christie, one of the other main favorites, is in the bucket, and fantasy fishing players are picking him. Patrick Walters, uncharted territory here. He's in bucket C. We're looking for him to have a bounce back. Luke Palmer, if you're looking for a low percentage Oklahoma angler that definitely knows how to fish rivers, how to fish shallow. I always kind of thought back in the day he was kind of a consistent poor man, more consistent Jason Christie. So I think he could be good. Brian Schmidt seems to do well on rivers. Mark Menendez, I think he won an E50 on the Arkansas River way back in the day. Maybe a different pool, but he had a good Tom Bigby, made a Sunday cut. This could be another good event for him. Nick Trim, Mississippi River angler. Cliff Pace, you know, this should be a strength for him as well. David Gaston loves a swim jig. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do well. But in the end, I am going to go chalk here because as much as you don't want to go all chalk in fantasy fishing, sometimes you got to mix in some of those favorite anglers and have balance in your lineup so you don't get blown away when they do well. Bucket B, we got Easton Fothergill holding the lion's share of player picks so far. And if you think back to the front-facing sonar event on the Pasquotank River, similar time of year, I wouldn't be surprised if he had a good event. Blaylock, Arkansas native. Welcher does well on rivers, but hasn't been super consistent this year. Seth Feider coming off a strong Tom Bigby. The Johnstons looking to make up some ground here. Pake South winning every Bassmaster Open there is. Can he bring that momentum into the Elite Series? I think both Wes Gore, Wes Logan could be good matchups here. Bob Downey, Upper Mississippi River guy, loves Dobbin. This could be a good event for him. But I'm going to go Seth. I think we're riding some momentum here. And I just got a feeling that Seth is going to back it up after a strong, top 5 finish at the Tom Bigby. Trey McKinney leading bucket A. I mean, is there a place that Trey doesn't catch him? I think he's sitting in second in Angler of the Year right now. Dakota Ebear, Jordan Lee, Brock Mosley. I think Brock Mosley, chatterbait guy, swim jig guy, fishing shallow, buzzbait, won at the Sabine. Didn't do as well at Tom Bigby as I thought he did. Should, but I think he could be good here. Obviously, we've got Drew Cook and Drew Benton in this bucket. If there's a sight fishing bite to be found to get off to a good start, I like them there for that. Jay Shakurt, super consistent. Can't go wrong with him. But I'm going to go our AOI leader, John Garrett. He had a culling mistake where he basically made a cast with a 6th fish in a Bassmaster Open in 2020 that cost him a Bassmaster Open win and a Classic berth. So he's got some unfinished business with this river. Now, it was a little bit different time of year, but I'm looking for John Garrett to keep things rolling and maybe come out of this tournament still your AOI leader. Let's hop on over to Drain the Lake. Here, you're looking to, I'm doing better here, having a much better season. We're in the dark green. We'll get our fantasy fishing team back in the dark green again soon. But let's roll through some picks here. I'm going Caps and Christie as well as Cranford. We're tripling down on the local Oklahoma guys for this event. I do like Bo Browning in Drain the Lake as well. We're going to double down on John Garrett. Kenta Makura's having a tough year, but I think we're going to use him here because he does have a lot of upside, even though there is some risk there. Tyler Rivette, I feel like this kind of matches his strengths. And I really didn't know at the beginning of the year where to put Pake South, but we're going to put him in here and, he's winning everything. So what if he wins an Elite Series and we can cap on that double bonus points? Let's finish up with the Bassmaster pickup in the tiebreaker weight, John Garrett versus Trey McKinney. It's tough to pick against Trey anytime, but we're going Garrett. We'll triple down, use him in every game. Christie versus Palmer. We're just going to roll with Christie. Hackney versus Welcher. Hackney needs it. Let's just be honest. And Welcher also isn't fishing that great. Gore versus Tucker Smith. I think the swim jig keeps rolling here. Wesley Gore. Caleb Hudson versus Pake South. Hudson, I think, still leading the Rookie of the Year. But Pake South, I feel like we got scope. Maybe the Koike comes and makes an appearance this week. He catches some big bass on it. Let's go with Pake South. Livesey versus Huff. Both have had open top 10s here in 2020. I'm going to go with Livesey because he's got the boat for it. Oklahoma neighbors, Ebear versus Blaylock. Texas versus Arkansas. Let's go with Ebear. He's got the momentum. Tiebreaker weight, I think it's going to take close to 70 pounds this week, give or take. Right around there, I'm going to go 68.7. I'd love to hear who you guys are rostering. Drop me your lineups in the comments, some of your picks to win. Let's see if you're angling towards the chalk or you got some dark horses. I'd love to hear it. If you think the urchin baits are going to make a play this week on the Arkansas River like they have been on several other big Bassmaster tournaments like Martin and the Rayburn Open and the Eufaula Open, watch this video on the screen right here next here to see how you can rig them better to learn where you fish and be more successful with urchin baits. If you really want these, because this is a $10 bait, and your hook's going to work a hole in this, and when you catch a couple fish, I think it's going to be harder to keep these hooked up. So